Good morning and welcome to Math This Morning. This is our first lesson for Math 6 here at Durham Academy, and I'm excited to share with you some videos while you are working remotely. Both Mr. Gould and myself will be working on these videos, and we hope that you'll find them not just instructive, but hopefully entertaining and engaging so that you can enjoy learning math, which I think is really important. The first thing I like to do with each activity is start with what I call a think now. So a think now involves looking at 4 shapes or 4 items and figure out which one does not belong. And so right now we have these 4 squares right here that involve some different activities. And what I'd like you to do is pause the video and think about which one of those does not belong, and then contact one of your classmates who are also working remotely, perhaps by video chat, and talk about the one that you selected and why you selected it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's really based on perception and looking at patterns and identifying what is common among 3 and not common in the 4th. So we're going to pause the video now, and we'll come back in just a minute. Please pause. Good morning and welcome back. I hope you had a good time discussing with your classmates which of these pictures did not belong, which one did not belong. I'm not sure what you answered, but remember, there's no right or wrong answer. What I chose when I looked at it and thought about it is the skier, because as you can see, the skier is the only one standing up. So that was my reasoning for why the skier did not belong, even though I love skiing. Anyway, let's get back to our math and looking at place values. We're going to look at place value. And place values, the term place value actually means that the value of the digit within a number is determined by the place in which it is located. So for example, when we look at place values for the ones, thousands, millions, and billions, as you can see that the 6 down here is in the thousands place. That's 6 groups of 1,000. Then you have 1 group of 100, 3 groups of 10, and 9 ones. And if you go over to the first digit in the group, since it's the 8th digit over, then it's going to be in the 10 millions place. So 8 groups of 10 million makes that number worth 80 million. Now what's interesting is that when you go to the decimal values, and notice right here you have the decimal point, and this decimal point is what divides the whole number place values from the fractional or decimal place values, is that in every column in the whole number values, we have ones, tens, and hundreds. And to me, those are the same as streets. And it's really the neighborhoods that are important to remember, which are the ones, thousands, millions, and billions, because there are the same 3 streets in each of those neighborhoods: 1 street, 10 street, and 100 street. Now, what's interesting is when you cross over that decimal point and you get into the decimal values or fractional values, you'll notice that there's not a ones column. There's not like a once. It starts with tenths. And I'd be really curious to see why see if anyone knows or can explain why that's the case. How come there's no once after the decimal point, but it starts with tenths? And then it goes to hundreds and thousands. And the further away you go from the decimal point, the smaller the number is. And to get a sense of size, when we look at 1/10, think about the space between a 0 and 1 on the number line. You divide it into 10 slices, equal slices, and we're talking about one of those 10. Go to the thousands, same space between 0 and 1, but now we're cutting it into 1,000 small slices, and then we're talking about just one of those tiny slices. So the further away from the decimal point, the smaller the value if you're going to the right. If you're going to the left, the further away from the decimal, the larger the value. And its place within those columns will determine its actual value. So if we have a 3/10, 1/100, 8 thousandths. What I'd like to do now is look at place values, specifically decimals. When you read a decimal, read the numbers, and you say the place where that place is and the place value. So for example, the place a digit is located within a number will determine its value. And that last digit to the right within a decimal value is what we look at. So for example, 0.4, we would say 4/10 because that 4 is in the 10th place. 0.04, that 4 is in a hundredths place, so we call it 4/100ths. And then 0.004, we'll call 4/1000ths because that 4 is in the thousands place. As you can see, 0.004 is much smaller than 0.4. And then, of course, we have decimal numbers that have both whole numbers and decimal values. 1.4. And here we say 1 and 4/10. The word and actually refers to the decimal point. So whenever you see the word and when we're talking about reading numbers, that's where your decimal point is located. If it's not your decimal point, you don't use that word. Now, we can take numbers and we can write them in expanded form. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. So the number 34,215, 3 times 10,000 plus 4 times 1,000 plus 2 times 100 plus 1 times 10 plus 1 times 5. And I actually have those numbers flipped. It should be 1 times 5. So you can see where those place values are located. They're always that second number in the parentheses. So we call that expanded form so you can see clearly the value of each of these digits. Now there's 3 different ways in which we can write numbers. There's the standard form, there's the word form, and then there's the short word form. And we actually looked at them up here. So the standard form is any number like this, 0.04, 1.4. However you write the number itself, that's going to be your standard form. Short word form is when you use the number and the word. So 4/100ths, you write the number 4 and then hundredths. 4/10ths, you'd write the number 4 and then tenths. Long word form or word form is when you write it out entirely in words, 1 and 4/10. That's how you would write that. So those are the 3 different ways in which you can write numbers: the standard form, the word form, and the short word form. So for example, what are the different ways to express 7,800,000? Standard form, 7,800,000. Word form, 7 million, and notice we don't say the word and, we say 7,800,000. And the short word form is the number 7 million, then the number 800,000. Before you begin your homework, perhaps you want to try these and see if you can write them out as well. Once you've done that, check with a friend and see how you did.